everyone, and welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be sharing with you guys how I draw stickers on my iPad using the Procreate application and an Apple Pencil, and then how I transfer them onto my computer and cut them out using my Silhouette Cameo. I will be linking down below all the times if you're just interested in how I use my Silhouette. I'll link that down below as well. Otherwise, I'm going to get started with doing some drawing. So usually I like to use the drawing guide. I mean, I would not call myself a professional artist whatsoever, but I do like to have fun and draw stickers. I've been having a lot of fun with this. So one feature I really like is with Procreate, if you draw a line and you hold it still, it will straighten out. So like that's how I like to write my letters. At least when I'm printing letters, it's a little easier. And also, as you can tell, obviously an O is kind of like a circle, so it helps with shapes as well. So it's a really fun, nice little hack, especially if you're not very good at freehand. So I was just kind of trying to take some inspiration from different fall things, so I decided to try a pumpkin, and I'll also link down below the different brushes that I'm using, or in the description. One thing, in order to color the pumpkin in, I create another layer underneath that initial layer of the outline. So that's what I'm doing now to color it in. And then Procreate has a very cool little tool, which is a blending tool, and you can actually use any brush that you have in your library to use it. So I did kind of a watercolor type tool with this one. So I'm going to be drawing a few different kinds of stickers. So I started with the pumpkin, just kind of simple little sketch thing. And if I'm doing multiple images on one sheet, I like to make sure they're on their own separate layers. If I do have, for example, if you see the image that says to do, and on the same layer is the outline of the pumpkin, so in order to fix that and get the pumpkin on its own layer, I pull down with 3 fingers, and a little box that has several options comes up, and I use cut and paste. And that will bring the pumpkin onto its own layer, as you can see, and then I just merge the 2 pumpkin layers together, so then I have the pumpkin as one layer. So then I thought, hey, why not make a little ghost? So I just kind of drew a little doodly ghost, and I like also on Procreate, what's really fun is if you want to just color in an entire blocked off section, you can just take the color that you have selected in the top right corner and just drag it into the shape, as long as it's an enclosed shape, to color it in, which is really nice. So there I am using the select tool again because I began to draw on that same layer, but it's not a problem because I can just select and put it onto its own layer. I am not by any means a professional user of Procreate. I just kind of have looked up different YouTube videos and different hacks and pick things up along the way. So if you have any really cool tips on drawing or different hacks that make it easier to draw on Procreate, especially for someone who is just learning how to draw, please feel free to leave them down below. I would love any input that you guys have if you have prior experience with this software. Otherwise, I believe the software is about $10. I can check. I'll put it in the description box so you guys can check it out, especially if you have an Apple Pencil or an iPad to use. It's a very awesome software. You can actually even make animated GIFs on it as well, which is really cool. So going on to another fall theme thing, which is candles. And if you know me, you know I love candles, especially from Bath and Body Works. I kind of like the just sketchy, messy look of stickers and art. So on here, I'm adding an extra layer, a white layer, and then I'm going to change the opacity just so it looks kind of like glass. thing that's super cool about Procreate is online, I think it's called Creative Market, or I believe even on Etsy, you can buy different tools or paintbrushes that's what they call them. So you can get different effects, and I really love, I think it was called Storybook. Let me check. I believe it's called like Storybook brushes and mid-century brushes that I got, and they just kind of give it that, I don't really know, painty, oil paint kind of a look. I don't know. I really like it. I don't know the terms. It just really reminds me of children's books illustrations, which I'm always drawn to and love. Okay, so we got a candle, we got a pumpkin, and we're making sure that they're all on their own layers, so they can be separated if need be. And I tried to draw them a little bit bigger, because if you do draw them smaller, the quality will be very poor. But also the canvas size that I'm using is just a full screen canvas size. I believe it's like a default. I just kind of click whatever. Anyways, I'm going to do 4 stickers, and for my final sticker, we're going to do something else that I love. On Procreate, what's really cool is you can also drag and drop in different pictures. So I love mums, and they're just another thing that remind me of fall. So I drag and drop this, and then I'm just gonna kind of take my color palette from it. And in Procreate, to take your color palette, you just basically zoom in or hold your finger on a color, and then a magnifying glass pops up and it will select that as the color, which is just so easy to use. Then I just kind of find different colors that I like and continue on, use that as my palette, and then can delete the picture and continue on drawing. So what I'm going to do with this is, because flowers are, there's a lot of flowers in a bush or in a bouquet, I'm going to draw the first flower and then multiply it. If you want to duplicate a layer, you just swipe to the left and an option for duplicate comes up, which is really awesome. And then you can just select them with the mouse, which is in the top left corner. It's the last button up there, so you can select the layer and then just move it around. You just got to be careful that you don't accidentally resize it when you're moving it around with your fingers. But yeah, there we go. So we've got several flowers, and then you can just kind of move it around wherever you want it after you select the layer, and it makes it really easy to make things that have multiple uniform images in them. So all we gotta do now is just merge all of those layers together, so we have our 4 images. And then we get to this sticker part coming up soon. So in order to drop the image into Silhouette, the easiest way and the just most convenient way, I know that if you're using a Cricut, it's nice to have a solid color behind as the background color, but if you're using Silhouette, you want to make sure that there's no color in the background for the image, so that it's easy to just kind of drop the PNGs. And what I use is I export them as layers, as you could see, and then airdrop them to my computer and try and find them in my 1 million downloads that I have, and then open up Silhouette as well, obviously, and you can just drag them straight into Silhouette. And then you want to give them a quick check just to make sure everything is good. If you do see any kind of like funny extra pieces of paint or whatever, you can remove that once you open up Silhouette. So I'm just going to show you my desktop view, and see like that little speck that's on the with the flowers. That's easy to remove, so not a problem at all. As long as all of those are separated, it just kind of makes it easier. You can also download it as a full file and then use the exact same method that I'm going to be using. So once you drag them all in, I was having a little bit of problem, so I just had to open them from the actual download file or folder. So once you drag them all in, you got to be careful that they don't accidentally replace each other, because that's no fun. Then we can get started on all the sticker making stuff. So I don't usually form my registration marks or any of that stuff yet. First, what we're going to do is disconnect these from these large frames that they have, as you can see. So you're going to take the tracing button, and by the way, I do have the business edition of Silhouette, but you'll be able to do all of these things that I'm showing you with the normal version of the Silhouette software. So you're going to select all of the items that you want to cut out of those frames, and you're going to bring the threshold up as high as you can so that it selects everything, and then you're going to click trace and detach. Now this is going to detach everything, so be careful with little items that have little pieces. For example, if you can tell with the ghost, it does have that extra little boo section, so the candle was perfectly fine. But if we were not careful with things that have multiple little pieces, then you might lose them, or you lose the place that they're supposed to be. So you want to group those together, which I use Command+G, that'll group them together, and then move everything over to the side so you can select all those little remnants that we do not need. Alright, so now we have our images ready to go to be traced, and we can start sizing everything down now. So what we're going to do is adjust the printer size and the sheet size. So I have a 12 by 12 sheet, which is the auto generic sheet for Silhouette, the cutting mat basically. And then I have just normal sticker paper, which I'll show you guys later. You can mess around with the inset, I think it's called, with the registration marks, but you do want to make sure that the registration marks are on, and that's that top button on the right. It's called the page setup panel. You're going to click on that, and you're going to go to the third button over, which is registration marks. You're going to make sure those are on, and you want to select the style of Cameo if you do have a Cameo portrait or a Curio, and then the inset you can kind of mess around with. So now what I'm doing is I'm multiplying them, but I realized as I started to do this that the better thing to do first is to establish the cut lines before I start laying anything out. So anyways, I was having a little bit of trouble before because my Cameo was not recognizing the registration marks, but now I think you want to make sure that there's light so it can recognize the registration marks and that you're loading everything properly. But you do need registration marks when you are printing and cutting. So now what we're going to do is move on to the cut marks. So because I like to have the Cameo cut out my actual sheets of paper, you want to make sure that you have two different colors in mind. So I actually use green for the actual full cutout that I want it to do, and then I use red for the kiss cut. So I'm going to make 3.5 by 4.5 sheets, and I can fit 4 of those on this big sheet. And then I'm going to select the outline. I'm going to make sure that when creating the outline for the shape that the point is at 0 points, otherwise it will print it out onto the paper. So now I'm going to use internal offset in order to create a border. Basically what it's going to do is create that same shape but inside. And I'm going to now fill in the bigger shape with the color of the border that I want. So the shape that has the green outline, fill it in with pink is what I'm going to go with. And then that new shape that I created, I want that to be white, and I want it to have no border at all. So now I can group them together with Command+G. And now since we've established the green cut, we can make the kiss cut for the stickers. So you're going to select all of your stickers and we're going to go back to the offset, and you can kind of judge and you can see where the cut is going to happen. Now with the ghost sticker, we're going to have to go back and do that, but the other ones, since they're all one general shape, it's going to be a little bit easier. So I wanted the cut to be a little bit closer, and I just kind of tested it out there, and then group the cut and the image together with Command+G again, which I use a lot. And then with that, of course, you're going to want to make sure that the point is at 0 and that the color that you have selected for the offset is red, because that's going to be our kiss cut color. So now, as you can see, that's going to separate the entire image from each other. So I actually make a larger offset, like so, depending on what shape I want it to be, and then from there I select that new large offset and make an internal offset, and there we go. It's a little bit closer together, but it's not going to separate those extra pieces from the entire sticker, and we get one sticker out of it, and we group those together. So now we want to see how they're all going to fit on this little sheet. You could make a bigger sheet. A lot of people do 5x7. That would fit about 2 sheets on one big sticker paper. But I'm going to do these 4 because I think it's cuter. And I'm going to make each sticker about 1 inch wide. So that gives us 3 stickers of each. And then what you want to kind of figure out is what your layout is going to be. So obviously you could make these stickers teeny tiny if you wanted to as well. I'm just going to, for the sake of the video, make 3 medium-sized stickers. The easiest way to do this, you could create rows of like stickers and then center those together. You could just throw them all on the sheet if you'd like. But what I like to do is make 1 row of the variety, and then I use Command and the right arrow, and what that does is it duplicates it to the right evenly. So first I'm going to line all of these guys up, make sure they're all generally about the same size, and then I will use the alignment tool at the top here, align the center of them, as well as space vertically. You can also do space horizontally if you're going to make a line horizontally. And then we just do Command right key, right arrow, Command right arrow, and we can use the arrows on their own in order to scooch an image over just a tiny bit. Then I group the entire image together because this is going to be the whole sticker sheet, and Command right arrow, Command down arrow, however you want to do that, to lay it out on the full sheet. Now if you can tell, these sheets are a little too big for my inset, so I can go over and adjust that where we first adjusted it in the very beginning, and it doesn't create a problem for me. It might for other people. I'm not sure if that's a problem really anymore with the software. I originally, when I first got the Silhouette, I was having some problems with registration mark recognition, but now it's been totally fine and treating me very nicely. I think it might have been my blade. Anyways, so you can go over and adjust it, make sure everything's good. So now we're going to take a look at the send button after we have laid all of the sheets out. And you're going to want to make sure you remember what colors you chose for your hard cut and your kiss cut. So go over to send, and this is a little, I honestly don't know what to do with that area, but I always click on the line, and you want to uncheck any lines that you don't want to be cut. So we don't want that pink because that was just the border. So now we've got the green, and we want to, what works for me is cardstock adhesive backed, and then I turn the blade to number 2 actually, and the force to 22. It works the best for me. It doesn't cut it all the way through, not too hard, and I feel like it doesn't hurt the blade at all. And then for the red, we're gonna do sticker paper white, and that's gonna be on 2 as well, blade 2, and the force is only gonna be 2. So I was also having problems because my machine was, I think, cutting too hard, and it would cut through the mat and do all this crazy stuff. So now we're gonna go to the even more fun part where everything becomes real. Okay, so this is the sticker paper that I use. It fits in my normal printer. Online labels, you can get at onlinelabels.com, or I actually got this package on Amazon. So you're gonna wanna make sure that the sticker paper is loaded glossy side up, at least that's the way my printer prints, and then you're gonna wanna push the print button to get your stickers printed out. It takes a minute or two for it to all register, and you wanna also make sure that your printer is connected to your computer, because that's very important as well. Meanwhile, I'm going to set up my silhouette and make sure that it's turned on. The other thing that's really nice about the Cameo is that it is Bluetooth. I've already set all of that up, so it automatically recognizes it when I turn it on. Also, depending on what you're using the stickers for, I always print on best quality, just so I can get really good quality for my stickers. And then you want to make sure that it printed the registration marks and there's no extra lines or anything, so it looks good. So grab your cutting mat as well, and this is where the registration marks come in handy and help you out, because it basically tells the computer and the silhouette where to cut. So you want to line the paper up exactly how it is in the program. So the best way to judge that is to put the little black box at the top left corner, because that is where it's going to sense that's the registration mark pretty much there. So it's going to scan it, so you would turn on your silhouette, and when you're loading it in, you want to make sure that the arrow is pointing towards the machine and that the box is in the top left corner. You want to try and get it as flat as possible so that there are no mistakes and it can register everything perfectly. So I kind of push down and in and line it up to that line that's on the left, and then push load, and it will load it in like so. Then you're going to go over to your computer and push the magic send button. So see how it's kind of it's lined up as perfectly as possible. And I also have an auto blade, in case anyone was wondering, on my silhouette. That's what it came with, and I actually have bought an extra one after I was experiencing problems. So push the magic send button, and then everything will get working, hopefully. So first thing it's going to do is register the paper, and then you also want to make sure you have a lot of space behind your silhouette and it's not up against a wall. Otherwise that will jam the paper, and I experienced that the hard way. So it's going to cut separately the different blade settings, so it'll cut the sheets out first with the hard cut, and then it will do the kiss cut afterwards. And it's also nice because it gives you a little countdown timer. This takes about 3 minutes, it's estimating, to kind of show you where it's at in the process. If you guys have any questions on how to use Procreate or how to use the Silhouette Studio, I will try and answer them the best I can. I am definitely not an expert on either of those, but I am wanting to help anybody out because I appreciated everybody else who helped me out on YouTube. I watched a lot of videos to try and figure out how to do this. So here we go, it's finishing cutting out the sheets, and then it's gonna go and do the kiss cut. Another thing I'd like to tell you is, because it is a piece of paper that's sticking to the cutting mat, the cutting mats come fairly sticky, and so it kind of gets hard to peel the finished product off of the sticky mat. So what one person had said is, if you take a towel and kind of dab the cutting mat when you first get it, it will help it not be as sticky, so which is nice. And of course when it becomes not sticky at all, then it's kind of useless, but it is in the beginning a little too sticky. Alright, so you don't want to take it out from the machine unless it says that it is done, and it gives you the unload button. So you push unload and it'll drop right out. So then you want to find a flat surface, and you want to actually peel the cutting mat backwards so that your paper does not curve or start to curl up itself. It's a little tricky to learn how to do, but as long as you take it slow, I'm sure you'll develop your own methods and figure out the best way that you can peel the paper off. You you want to make sure that you store your cutting mat correctly and put that extra sheet over it so it doesn't catch too much fuzz around your house. But I think the sticker sheets turned out really cute. What do you guys think? I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope all of your sticker making endeavors are successful. Let me know, like I said, if you guys have any questions in the comments, and give this video a like if you enjoyed it or if it helped you out at all. I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I'll see you all in my next video. Thank you so much.